It started with charm, not fear, not violence, not the kind of presence you would expect from someone who would later become one of the most feared serial killers in modern history. Ted Bundy didn't look like a monster. He looked like someone you could trust, and that was exactly what made him so dangerous. In the early 1970s, young women began to disappear from college campuses, from busy streets, from places that once felt safe. At first, there was no clear pattern, no obvious connection, just missing persons cases, increasing. Families were confused, authorities were uncertain, and no one realized that a single individual was responsible. His name was Theodore Robert Bundy, born in 1946. Even his early life was complicated. He grew up believing his grandparents were his parents, and that his biological mother was his sister, a secret that would later be revealed. Some people have tried to connect that early confusion to what he became. But the truth is far more complex. Bundy was intelligent. He studied psychology. He worked in political circles. He volunteered on a crisis hotline. He was educated, presentable, calm under pressure. Everything about him seemed normal. But beneath that normal appearance, something darker was forming. Something hidden. Something dangerous. Witnesses would later describe a man who stood out for one reason. He didn't seem threatening. He often appeared injured, sometimes with his arm in a cast, sometimes asking for help, carrying books, loading something into his car. Simple requests, nothing unusual. That was his method. He used trust as a tool, and once he gained it, everything changed. In Washington state, multiple women vanished within a short period. Then came a strange detail. Witnesses began mentioning the same name, Ted. A man named Ted, driving a light-colored Volkswagen Beetle. That detail became important, because it was one of the first real clues. But even then, it wasn't enough, because people don't easily suspect someone who appears so ordinary. As time went on, fear spread. Students became more cautious. Communities grew more alert. But Bundy adapted. He changed locations, changed tactics, stayed unpredictable. Then came the discoveries. Remains found in remote areas, hidden, scattered. And the reality became impossible to ignore. This was not random. This was intentional. Investigators began connecting cases, looking for patterns, searching for suspects. But Bundy stayed ahead, always just out of reach. Then, something changed. A victim survived. For the first time, someone escaped, and her account gave investigators something they desperately needed. A clearer description, a closer look at the man behind the mask. She described his confidence, his calm behavior, his ability to appear harmless. This wasn't someone acting out of panic. This was someone in control. By this time, Bundy had moved to Utah, and the pattern followed him. Disappearances continued, fear followed, and the pressure increased. In 1975, something finally went wrong. A police officer noticed a suspicious vehicle, a Volkswagen Beetle, driving late at night. The car was stopped. The driver was Ted Bundy. At first, it seemed like a routine stop, but a search of the car revealed unusual items, handcuffs, tools, things that raised questions. He was arrested, but not for murder. Not yet. There wasn't enough evidence, only suspicion. Still, investigators started digging deeper. They examined his movements, his connections, and slowly the case began to build. Witnesses began to identify him. Survivors recognized him. The image of the harmless young man began to fade, but Bundy had something else in mind. He wasn't finished. While in custody, he made a bold move. He escaped. In a courthouse, during a hearing, Bundy jumped from a window, in broad daylight, and disappeared. Search teams were launched. Authorities combed the area, but he was gone. Days later, he was captured again. But the situation had already changed. Because Bundy had proven something. He was willing to take risks. Months later, he escaped again, this time from jail, carefully planned, carefully executed, and once again, he was free. He made his way to Florida, and what happened next shocked the entire nation. In a university residence, multiple young women were attacked in the middle of the night. The case drew massive attention. This was no longer a quiet investigation. This was national news. Shortly after, another attack occurred. And this time, there were witnesses. Descriptions. Details that pointed in one direction. The pressure intensified. Authorities were now racing against time. They knew they were dealing with someone extremely dangerous. Eventually, Bundy was arrested again, this time in Florida, after being stopped by police. Now, the evidence was stronger. Witnesses, physical evidence, connections across multiple states. The trial that followed became one of the most widely watched in history. For the first time, cameras were allowed in the courtroom, and the public watched everything. Bundy did something unusual. He acted as his own attorney, questioning witnesses, speaking confidently, trying to control the narrative. To some, he appeared intelligent. To others, manipulative. But the evidence continued to build. The jury listened. The nation watched, and the outcome became inevitable. Bundy was found guilty. But even then, the story didn't end, because Bundy began to speak. Over time, he confessed to multiple crimes, though the exact number is still debated. What became clear was this: the scale was far greater than many had imagined. In his final interviews, Bundy spoke about his life, his actions, his choices. Some believed he was telling the truth. Others believed he was still manipulating the narrative. In 1989, Ted Bundy was executed, bringing an end to one of the most disturbing criminal cases in modern history. But the impact remained. The case changed how investigations were conducted. It changed how people viewed safety. It changed how the world understood the idea of a hidden threat. Because Bundy didn't fit the expected image. He didn't look dangerous. He didn't behave like people imagined. And that is what made the story so unsettling. It wasn't just about the crimes. It was about the deception. The ability to blend in, to appear normal. And maybe that's the most important lesson. Danger doesn't always look the way we expect. Sometimes, it looks like someone you would trust. Someone who smiles. Someone who asks for help. And that's what made Ted Bundy so difficult to stop. Not just what he did, but how he did it. If you found this story informative, consider subscribing for more real-life cases. Because some stories are not just history, they are warnings. And this is one of them.